A lot of my friends are progressives. Well, it makes sense that you left, or America right now is such a shit show. I can see why you left. I want to be clear. The reason I moved to Europe was not because of America or anything wrong with America. It was because of the prosperity I recognized because I was so fortunate to be born in America. Support for the show comes from Betterment. Do you want your money to be motivated? Do you want your money to rise and grind? Do you think your money should get up and work? Don't worry, Betterment is here to help. Betterment is the automated investing and savings app that makes your money hustle. Their automated technology is built to help maximize returns, meaning when you invest with Betterment, your money can auto-adjust as you get closer to your goal, rebalance if your portfolio gets too far out of line, and your dividends are automatically reinvested. That can increase the potential for compound returns. In other words, your money is working like a dog while you can be sleeping like one and snoring like one too. You'll never picture your money the same way again. Betterment, the automated investing and savings app that makes your money hustle. Visit Betterment.com to get started. Investing involves risk. Performance is not guaranteed. Welcome to Office Hours with Prof G. This is the part of the show where we answer your questions about business, big tech, entrepreneurship, and whatever else is on your mind. What's happening? Today's a little different. We're coming to you on a Friday, and starting next week, Office Hours will drop every Monday and Friday. Every Monday and Friday starting next week. That's right. Twice a week, twice the questions, twice the very good or very bad or somewhat in the middle advice from Prof G. If you'd like to submit a question for next time, you can send a voicemail recording to officehours@profgmedia.com. Again, that's officehours@profgmedia.com. The questions have been outstanding recently. Or post a question on the ScottGalloway subreddit, and we just might feature it in our next episode. What a thrill. First question.
Hey, Prof G. Love the pod. Thanks for all you do. My question today is more so looking for some advice. We just got the news that our company is going back in office 5 days a week. I'm a little bit jarred because I've been fully remote for the last 5 years since COVID. And I guess I'm just looking for some encouragement, some upsides, because I have a longer commute now, less time with my kids, and I'm just feeling a little discouraged overall. But I know that you're in support of in-office time, so make me feel better.
I think remote work is a disaster for young people. Pre-mating, pre-mentors, pre-friends. I think it's a fantastic place to find friends, mentors, and mates. Yeah, I said it. 1 in 3 relationships begins at work, and most of them are, 99.9% of them are consensual. We have a tendency to immediately distill everything down to one big blob and think this is the right thing for everybody. I think if you're what I'll call a care worker, and I think that should get its own classification, you're taking care of young kids, aging parents, or you're having some health struggles yourself, I think that smart corporations should offer the benefit the same way they might offer a great, parental leave program or great health benefits, to say we are a caregiver organization in that we go out of our way to try and facilitate remote work for people who need to be home more. And also, they're going to make less money. And I think that's fine. I think that trade-off is worth it. And there's a lot of people such as yourself that I think would willingly make that trade-off. So I'm not here with a message of hope. It sounds like you've probably already gone to the organization and said, look, is there any way I could go to 2 or 3 days back in the office? For them to go from 0 days a week and with someone with small children to 5 days a week, that seems a little rough in my view. And I want to be clear. I think the office is a feature, not a bug for young people. But as we age and we collect dogs and kids, and especially for those who are on the sandwich generation that are caregivers, I think it's in society's best interest to encourage companies to give them more flexibility such that they can be at home providing that caregiving. I apologize I don't have anything more inspirational or no silver bullet here other than to say 5 days a week is a lot if from 0 to 5. And you may want to think about and always be on the lookout for an organization that offers you circumstances that are a better fit for your specific situation. Appreciate the question. Question number 2. Our second question comes from reader 532 on Reddit. They say, Prof G, from teaching the upper crust at NYU to your podcast, much of your advice for young people is aimed at how to improve their personal brand, how to climb ladders, how to become well-educated economically, and secure ballers in society. But millions attend lower-tier colleges, and half of those graduate in the bottom half, and 2/3 of young adults don't go to college. A vast majority are just trying to navigate having a job, working for a paycheck, and might not possess that extra gear to thrive. Serious question, what advice do you have for the mediocre? Mediocre is a weird word. I call us the unremarkable. I was unremarkable growing up, didn't do well academically, didn't test well. But back then, America loved the unremarkable. And one of the things I would argue is the wrong trajectory for America is that higher education in America is about helping the bottom 90, not identifying tax breaks and programs to make the top 10% the top 1%. And I feel like higher education is leading this downfall by deciding that we are there for the children of rich people or for the freakishly remarkable. And I can prove to every one of us that 99% of us are not in the top 1%. So in terms of the first is, I think, is a cultural zeitgeist. We need to stop shaming people who don't go to college. I go to parties where someone will say, inevitably, parents say, well, I don't know if you heard, but Bobby's home from Tulane and is dropping out. And we all speak in hushed tones like the family has done something wrong or that Bobby is mentally ill because he decided he didn't want to finish college. And I don't think that's the right approach. I think a lot of kids are just not cut out for college, especially a lot of young men. But if you look at what's happening, if you look at LinkedIn profiles in Germany and in the UK, 11%, the title is apprentice. I think we need more of an apprenticeship culture such that the vocational trades return. And by the way, this is not trying to reshape the economy. The economy has a lot of, I think there's something like, it's either 4 million or 7 million open jobs for vocational work. And these jobs pay good money. I just read that juniors in high school who take this one class in auto shop are making $55,000 to $70,000, even if they don't complete their senior year of high school. I think we need to stop fetishizing the college degree, put more pressure on colleges to lower their costs, and think more about programs that create more on-ramps for young people. Again, the number of people who have apprentice on their LinkedIn profiles in the United States is 3%, to lift up young people. I also think it's a series of economic programs, whether it's a tax holiday for young people, getting rid of capital gains tax exemption or mortgage interest rate tax exemption. There's no reason why people renting or making their money from salary are less noble than people who own stocks or own homes. That's just a transfer of wealth from young to old. So we need to stop the transfer, give young people more hope. I would increase minimum wage to $25 an hour. Like Lincoln said, God must have loved the common man. He made so many of them. And also, I think that we need, kind of more respect, if you will, for people who get up, work to live, not live to work, move to a lower cost region and lead good lives, have their sport, have their church or not, have their family, and don't aspire to be ballers professionally. I think that's okay. What I would argue, there was a lot of young people are unrealistic. They talk about wanting to be an influencer or make millions of dollars or have huge cultural relevance, but don't really want to work that hard. And then they talk about the issue of balance. And what I've found is that if you want to be in the top 1% of anything, you pretty much got to devote 10 or 20 years to it and little else. So I don't think I think we need to stop shaming people who don't have college degrees, do a better job of creating aspiration around those jobs, recognize that living a good life, modest means, getting up, taking care of your family, being a good partner, being a good citizen, that there's real honor in that. And if you don't start a tech company or get options worth hundreds of millions of dollars, that's okay. Because my sense is that young people are not only suffering from this incredible transfer of wealth from young to old, fomented by old people who figured out a way to vote themselves more money over and over and over. Average 70-year-old is 72% wealthier than they were 40 years ago. Average person under the age of 40 is 24% less wealthy. But give young people a leg up economically such that they have more opportunity. I think all of these things add up to falling back in love with what you say is the mediocre, but I think it's the unremarkable who built this country, and I think we need to do a better job of nodding our head to how important the middle class is and the 99% of us who are not in the top 1%. Appreciate the question. We'll be right back after a quick break. Support for Prof G comes from Trade Coffee. For some of us, coffee is our superpower. It helps us gear up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or tackling an endless to-do list. And with all that it's empowering us to do, shouldn't we be really picky about the type of coffee we get? You want to start your day off right. Enter Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee is an online coffee superstore with more than 450 different roasts picked out by professional taste testers who really know their beans. Sign up, take a quick quiz to let them know what you like, and Trade will match you with the perfect roast. Their coffee is roasted to order and shipped straight to your door, all at grocery store prices. We have some Trade Coffee, and it is a huge hit. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/ProfG. That's drinktrade, TRADE.com/ProfG for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/ProfG. Welcome back. Our final question comes from Reddit. User HollywoodKid350 asks, "Hey Scott, as a European, if given the chance, would you move to the US right now?" So I moved to London 3 years ago, and a lot of people will naturally say, well, good, a lot of my friends are progressive as well. It makes sense that you left, or America right now is such a shit show. I can see why you left. I want to be clear. The reason I moved to Europe was not because of America or anything wrong with America. It was because of the prosperity I recognized because I was so fortunate to be born in America. I've recognized such incredible prosperity because of my brilliant decision to be born in America. I've always said a lot of my success is not my fault. It afforded me and my family the opportunity to do something for my kids that I think is just a gift, and that is to give them 3 or 4 years overseas. My parents are from here, so I've always felt a calling, always thought of myself as sort of the kind of guy that would live abroad for a few years and feel as if I'm running out of time. So boom, moved to London, and it's been great. I am planning on moving back. One, because I absolutely love living in America, and 2, because I think it's time for people who are worried about what is going on in America to return home, not to leave, but to return home. And so to your question, I never miss an opportunity to virtue signal. Would I move to the US right now? Yeah, I would. If you're already sort of tracking and moving into the latter part of your career and maybe in a little bit more of the spending part of your life, I would say stick in Europe. So a lot of it's your situation, your opportunities, and where you are in your life. But generally speaking, if you're just an economic animal, I advise getting to the biggest city in your nation, getting to the biggest city in your continent, and then trying to figure out a way to get to the U.S. Because the U.S., you just don't count the U.S. out. I am divesting out of the U.S. in terms of the stock market just because I think it's overvalued. But I'm bullish on America just because I think the agility, the risk aggressiveness, the rule of law, the universities, the DNA, the opportunities in the U.S. are just absolutely unrivaled in terms of professional opportunity and economic upside. And even if it doesn't work out, I don't think you'll regret it. I think very few people think, well, I fucked up moving to either America or Europe for a few years. And I think more people from Europe and other countries that move to the U.S. decide that their prosperity is so much greater, the upside so much greater, they decide to stay. In some, come to the U.S. That's all for this episode. If you'd like to submit a question, please email a voice recording to officehours@profgmedia.com. Again, that's officehours@profgmedia.com. Or if you prefer to ask on Reddit, just post your question on the Scott Galloway subreddit, and we just might feature it in an upcoming episode. Support for the show comes from Grüns. If you've ever gone down the rabbit hole of trying different nutrition solutions, you've likely had the thought, surely there's a way to improve my skin, gut health, immunity, and brain fog without offending my taste buds. Well, there is. It's called Grüns. Grüns are a convenient, comprehensive formula packed into 8 delicious gummies a day. It's not a multivitamin, a greens gummy, or a prebiotic. It's all of those things and then some at a fraction of the price. In a Grüns daily snack pack, you get more than 20 vitamins and minerals, plus more than 60 whole food ingredients, all of which help you out in different ways. For example, Grüns has 6 times the gut health ingredients compared to the leading green powders like biotin and niacinamide, which help with thicker hair, nails, and skin health. They also contain mushrooms, which can help with brain function. And of course, you're probably familiar with vitamin C and how great it is for your immune system. On top of all that, Grüns are vegan and free of nuts, dairy, and gluten. Get up to 45% off when you go to Grüns.co and use code ProfG. That's GRUNS.co, using code ProfG for 45% off.